your experience in Thailand and Pattaya,
Mm-hmm.
and why you decided to live in Pattaya, Thailand.
I've been married, and I had an affair. I got caught, and I lost my family over it. I lost my marriage. My own stupidity. And anyway, and I'd had 2 years of a really volatile, horrible time surrounded by my wife's family. And, I did what I did. I'm not going to make any excuses. I was an idiot, and I just did it. So, and I lost my wife and my family over it. And the problem I had was that when I'd go out, I'd go into a bar or pub, as we called it back in England. I'd go into a pub, and and there'd be certain people there. Maybe one of her sisters. She had quite a big family, and they'd be like sniping away at me and stuff. And I just got bored of it. I thought, do you know what? I can't be doing this. And I thought, well, I'll go on holiday. And I always go on holiday. I like going to big cities. So I like that. I've been like New York, and I like big cities. So I thought, I've never been over to Thailand. Let's go to Bangkok. I had no idea about Pattaya. Never heard of it. Never knew about it.
What year?
That would have been 2000 and what we know, we're 2025, aren't we?
Okay.
That would have been 2008.
Okay.
And about 2007, 2008. So anyway, so I'd never heard of anything. Never heard of it. And I went to Bangkok. Absolutely loved it. I made so many bad mistakes because I was just so naive. I went to a soapy massage, not known as a soapy.
Oh, really?
I thought it was a massage. And I'm like, oh my God, like what is going on here? Like this is not what I was expecting. And when she gave me the book, pick which lady you'd like, I'm like, that one I'll do. Why? And I had no idea. And people say, you must. I had absolutely no idea.
Wow.
And so when that all started happening, I was like, oh, hang on, this isn't quite what I was expecting, but we'll carry on anyway. And then I went down. I thought there was, if you look on the map of Bangkok, it looks like it's a tiny little beach. And so I asked the guy, I said, where's this beach? I said, I want to go to the beach. And he just burst out laughing. He said, we don't have a beach here. He said, do you want to go to Koh Samui? I said, well, where's that? And he said, oh, you got a flight. I was, really? And I thought, well, I came out for a month anyway. So I thought, no, I'll go down there. And I went down to Koh Samui, and then I stayed at the top of the island. So then I went to find Lamai and Chawang, which were the two nightlife areas. And I was just like, oh, this is just different gravy. I had 2 years of being lonely and etc. Then suddenly I'm surrounded by these amazingly beautiful women. And then I said to this guy in a bar, it was in the Chawang bar, and he said to me, I said, oh, this is amazing. He said, this is rubbish. I said, shut up, what are you on, mate? I said, hey, can you say this is rubbish? Behave yourself. He said, you're in a Pattaya. I said, never heard of it. Where's that? He said, and I thought, bloody, I've just come back. He said, you go there. He said, this place is rubbish. And I was like, no, I can't believe that. And it played on my mind. And then I spoke to a few other guys that I've met in the bars down in Luang and Chiang Mai. And I said to him, is this place Pattaya? And every time I said the word, their eyes just lit up. They were like, oh man, it's so good. So I came here, and I came up here, and yeah, it was exactly like they described, like a kid in a sweet shop. And so then I went back home, and again, I walked back into a load of grief, and I thought, I can't be done with this. Can't be done with this. And I was financially, I was very lucky. I worked hard. I had a big company. I owned a company, window cleaning company. I sat down with my right-hand man, JC, and I said, look, I'm figuring out moving on, blah, blah, blah. And he was worried I was going to sell it to OCS or to Initial, which were the big guns in the window cleaning world at that time. And I said, no. I said, what we're going to do, I said, you're going to raise some money. You're going to give me some money. I'm going to lease you the company for 7 years. And in that 7 years, you're going to pay me, because I knew what the company was earning. I said, you're going to pay me every month. I said, at the end of 7 years, you're taking the company. I said, you're not going nowhere. I said, you've been my right-hand man for years. I said, you're not walking out. You're not going nowhere. Because if I sold it to OCS or Initial, I knew what they would do. They'd just take out all the big contracts and then collapse the company. And then all my staff would be made redundant. I didn't want that. So, I'm loyal. If you're loyal to me, I'm loyal to you. So JC had been with me many years. And that's exactly what we did. He raised some money, gave me a lump sum. And then he basically, the reason he raised the money is because he used my company as the asset to get the money for. And then he paid me every month for 7 years. He never missed a single payment. And now it's his company, and he's going on to bigger and better things. So I went back. I took my kids down to we had a caravan home down on the South Sea on Portsmouth, and I said to him, look, I really think the time's right for me to move on. My oldest son didn't care; he was happy doing his thing. He was an MMA fighter, so he was like, "Yeah, you crack on, Dad. I'm not interested." Emily was upset, but again, she kind of understood. And Aidan, he's the one that suffered the most. he was only a young kid when I did this, and he didn't really understand. So, one minute he's got dad, next minute he doesn't have dad. And, I used to see the kids quite a lot. And that's my biggest regret, was that he suffered the most. And as a consequence of that, our relationships suffered since. But again, he's a professional golfer now. He's out doing his own thing and living his life. We still keep in touch. We do this thing called Snapchat every day, which bores the crap out of me, but it's connecting with my son, so I still do it, where we send each other just these stupid pictures. Half the time he sends me he's asleep, but it's like, whatever. But, and I saw him last year, which was the first time I've seen him for 6 years, 7 years.
Oh, really?
And he's a professional golfer now. He plays off +7, and he's just turned 18. So he's got a good future ahead of him, as long as he keeps himself, focused. But yeah, it was just a decision. I thought, you know what, I can't be done with all this septic, toxic stuff in my life. And at the end of the day, you only get one life.
Yeah, and you've got to sacrifice. I mean, you can't have everything.
Well, the thing is, some people will agree with me, some people will disagree with me, and I appreciate that. It's personal opinion. But for me, as a parent, your duty is to make sure your children have a safe upbringing and a good surroundings, and provide them with the opportunities in life to move forward. I wasn't doing that because me and their mother were at daggers with each other. The family environment was toxic. So when there was a birthday, like, well, why is dad not coming? No, he's not coming. He's not invited. Well, I want dad to be, but he's not here. So just get on with it. So, and I thought to myself, there is going to come a stage where, as a parent, you're not required. When they get older, it's like, I don't want you to come around, dad. That's not cool. I'm with your mates. You go and do your old age pension stuff and leave me alone. So eventually you are going to become redundant in terms of the necessity to provide for your children and to be with them. And I just said to my kids, look, how would you feel? I'll bring you out. You come out here twice a year on holiday, which I did. And, they loved it. Aiden's been out here 14 times now. But he's obviously off doing his own thing. Matthew, my eldest, he came out twice, and he was mortified, absolutely mortified that this girl wanted to spend some time with him but wanted compensation.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he was an MMA fighter. He's a six-pack, big dude. And he's like, Dad, I'm brushing girls off for fun in England. Why? I'm like, what is that about? And I'm like, son, welcome to my world. I said, if it's any consolation, the most expensive woman I've ever met in my life is your mother. So don't worry about it, son. You're getting a bargain. And Emily just couldn't deal with the heat. She couldn't deal with the heat. So she only came out once. But Aiden, yeah, he came out many, when COVID came, that was it then. And now he's off doing his golf career.
Wonderful. What are some of the attractions and things that Pattaya brings and offers you?
So again, this is more of a journey, because my first 2 years out here, I was living the Playboy lifestyle. I was living what people perceive to be the dream. I'm living the dream. But it gets so boring. Eventually the nightlife gets so boring because you see it same day. Every day here's a Saturday. We don't have weekends out here. Every day is a Saturday. Tonight will be a Saturday. Tomorrow will be a Saturday. The day after will be a Saturday. Whereas in the UK, when I was back home, it was Friday night was out with the lads, Saturday out with the missus, or Friday out with the missus, Saturday out with the lads, depending on the football. So you had this like structure. Whereas out here, there's no structure. Every day is play day.
Yes.
So in terms of now, obviously now I've got the Buzzin Bar, which is in Soy Chaiapun. So I've kind of like gone back on what I'm about to say, because when I first came out here, it was amazing. First 2 years was amazing. Then it started to get a bit long in the tooth. And you're like, I don't want to go out drinking. I can't be bothered. It's same old. So then you start exploring. Like when you talk about Pattaya, people just see it as this seedy city that's just got one track pony. It's got 28 golf courses. There's more golf courses in Chonburi than any other part of Thailand. There are more tourist attractions in Chonburi than any other part of Thailand. We've got Koh Samet up the road. We've got Koh Larn across the road. We've got Koh Si Chang just further down there. We've got some beautiful, beautiful islands that you can go and explore. There's so much more. And of course now, if you look at the Pattaya now as to the Pattaya that was 10 years ago, the demographics changed tremendously. The 5-star hotels, I was just recently in the Amelia Hotel is unbelievable.
That second row,
yeah,
beautiful.
Oh, stunning! I was very lucky. I met with Peter James, who's the F&B director. He showed me around. It was amazing. So now that things change, nothing stays the same forever. So Pattaya now is changing. It's going through a very, very big change right now. The last 3 to 4 years have been huge, and I think there's still yet more to come. I think Walking Street is going to be very, very different in another 2 or 3 years' time. I think the entertainment zones will be pushed further back, second road, third road.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you look at like what they're changing now in the city, everything's gearing towards family friendly. So if you're family friendly, you can't have a go-go bar sat next to your fish and chip shop. You can't be doing that. So if it's going to be family friendly, they've got to do something with the entertainment. And I think what they'll do is they'll allow the nightclubs. So if you look in Walking Street now, there must be 5 or 6 Indian nightclubs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, fair play. You know, it's what it is. But what I'm saying is, there's Indian nightclubs there. So I'm not going to go there. Not because of any other reason, but I just don't want to go to that music. It's not my style. So I'm going to go to Second Road. So if I go to Second Road, other people are going to go to Second Road. So if more of us go to Second Road, suddenly there's a big space in Walking Street to change it again. And they're just about to change the big sign, the Walking Street sign. They're going to make it a 3D sign now. So all these things are changing, and they're changing, pushing forwards in terms of stepping away from this seedy umbrella that we seem to be under and saying to people, look, we are changing. I mean, look at the change on Beach Road. You know, they've done all that new paving. They've made it wider. They've cut down all the overhead cabling. In Walking Street, they've took down all the signs. Now, here's a good question. So, Walking Street signs, they took them down because it was a fire hazard. That's why they said it. They said if there was to be a fire in Walking Street, that the fire engines could not get in there. That was their reasoning. So my question to you is, why is Soy 6 signs still there? Why have they not been taken down? Because surely that's a fire hazard too. And they're exactly the same. So because Soy 6 is further down, Walking Street is the attraction. But they also need to remember, Walking Street put the city on the map. And if it wasn't for Walking Street, we probably wouldn't be here. So yeah, it's changing a lot.
Can you share with us more information around how those first 2 years was when you got here?
The first 2 years,
Was it every day drinking or every single day?
Oh yeah, because it's party. You know, and financially I was secure. I had no worries financially, so I could go out, and it was so cheap. I mean, it's just crazy. You know, you'd be struggling to spend 1,000 baht.
Really?
Oh God, yeah. It was just so easy. And you know, when you go out, and you know, from an obvious point of view, when you're walking down the road and you're being approached time after time after time by beautiful, stunning women, and you know what the outcome can be if you wish, well, then you're just going to play. You're just going to throw yourself in. I was knee deep. I was knee deep. Now I'm treading in shallow water, but before I was knee deep.